from Ukraine, who is facing Pavel Pankratov on board 4. So once again, let's stay concentrated on board number 1. If Zhigalko wins this one, at least 1.5, that's going to be a very... Well, it's going to be very likely he's going to be the champion. Well, and what amazes me, I mean, the way he plays Blitz, it's, well, something rather unusual. Spending all his time and then, I mean, in acting in a very good manner in a time trouble. Well, Rauf Mamedov played... Well, I don't know how it... well, the move order, I'm not aware of the move order, but now it looks like some sort of Pirts, or if you like, you can call it modern defense once again, was... well, now it's some sort of Pirts. Bishop b7 attacking e4, well, I'm not quite sure. I mean, bishop e2 is a strange decision. Because what do you do with an e4 pawn then? It's really strange, I mean... e5 feels like being too early, but otherwise there is no logical explanation for such a move as bishop e2. Well, d5. d5 is, well, still feels somewhat strange, but, well, perhaps the point being that if black plays something like c6, then one of the options would be to capture c6 and to get some sort of Sicilian structure. Okay, maybe not capturing this one immediately, but sooner or later it feels like white will have to be forced to. Knight bd7. How do you progress with white? Knight d4 is a tempting option, but then d5 falls. No. Well, rook e1, so some... Then there is knight c5, but then you have to... Yeah, after knight c5, e5 you have to take into account. Yeah, so Zhigalko creates tension once again, tension on the board, so hard to say. Yeah, well, I don't see the position there. Yeah, rook c8, so black is once again taking practical decisions. Hard to say how to continue with white. As I said, there was a feeling like sooner or later, well, maybe that's the moment to capture on c6, because if bishop takes, there is bishop a6. Yeah, so c takes. If rook takes, then we might see typical exchange sacrifice. I mean, dc6, rook c6, and say white wants to play knight d4, and then black might be taking on c3, followed by knight e4, getting a pawn plus a very good structure, centralized knight. That's a possible follow-up. Bishop d4. Bishop d4. Well, an interesting attempt. Yes, white doesn't want to define anything. Knight c5 is answered with bishop f1, defending e4, so he likes to keep tension here. Yeah, it's hard to decide on something with black, because, well, c5 move with the tempo is answered with bishop back to e3, and then you can hardly get any sort of counterplay, and then rook on c8 is not justified in this case. Well, not easy. It's quite a squeeze white is getting on black's position. So what do you do? Knight c5 and then bishop f1. Once again defending on e4. No. So e4 is defend. Well, no active possibilities for black. At least not that I can spot here. Rook e8, intending at some point to play e5 perhaps. Maybe it's a moment to play e5. And then, no, he decided to take on d4 this time. Pawn takes, and then e5. But this is something not very usual. Well, so Rauf plays in spirit of a dragon. So now eventually we are getting some sort of a usual structure. Knight e6. Now white perhaps wants to keep his precious bishop to go to e3. But then something like d5 followed by knight e4. Black should be doing fine here. Black should be doing absolutely fine. So now all of a sudden, well, maybe there was something better for white, because, well, now all of a sudden black pieces are all black pieces are active. Bishop on f1 is, well, not that great. Well, he has to keep the bishop, but then d5, d5 and well, d5 is answered with knight d4 perhaps. Well, and once again, typical situation, 18 seconds only for Sergei Zhigalko, and one might be fooled that he is in a huge time trouble, but we already saw that that's a pretty normal situation. He's, well, more or less comfortable with just few seconds on a clock, as long as there is increment. At least we haven't seen him losing on time. Knight e4, knight e4, bishop e4, and now not only c2 is hanging, but bishop f3 is a positional threat. There is an attempt to solve it in a tactical way, to capture on b6 and then the bishop on e4. Well, there is bishop a6, which I apparently missed. Rook takes c2, queen d1. Once again, it's something very complex. But last move Zhigalko made with only 2 seconds on his clock. So once again we are switching to this Zhigalko mode. Rook a3, a bit of mysterious move, I would say. Knight c5, yeah, black is in a very good situation, I would say. Knight c5 is a little bit tricky. Rook b1, queen e2, and then bishop takes f3. So damage done to white's pawn structure. Knight d4. Yeah, Rauf is very dangerous when it comes to tactics. So captures. So queen h4. Well, feels like it has to be lost. Last move was made with only 1 second. Was only 1 second on white's clock. Rook e3. Well, but Rauf does. Well, I don't quite like it, because it's queen g3, then f3, taking everything with the tempo. Well, bishop f8. That's an annoying move for a blitz game. And yeah, king e1 now was answered with bishop b4. Now black is winning. So it's check, king g7, rook e8, desperately trying to defend, but yeah, it's not possible to save this kind of a position. Check there, check on g4, and then d4 is one decent move, I believe. This and queen e2, and still Zhigalko not in the mood to lose immediately. Bishop d6, so whatever happens, it's always, yeah, it's check and bishop g3. And it's finished. It's finished. There is no way to avoid queen f2 mate. So Rauf Mamedov wins first game with black. Yeah, so Zhigalko simply loses on time.